Well, welcome back to the Power of Humility podcast this week. And let's take a slow breath and just allow ourselves to settle in. Today's reflection explores one of the most liberating phrases a person can say, and it is this: I don't know. In a world that rewards certainty, these words may seem uncomfortable. They can feel risky, vulnerable, and even embarrassing. And yet, they are often the beginning of wisdom. And today, we're going to reflect on intellectual humility, the courage to admit when our understanding is incomplete, and the openness to keep learning. So, as the book of Proverbs reminds us, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So, wisdom begins not with pretending to know everything, but with reverence, honesty, and humility. And many of us have learned consciously or unconsciously that confidence is valued. At school, we are praised for having answers. At work, we are expected to sound decisive. In conversations, uncertainty can be mistaken for weakness. Online, opinions are shared instantly and often forcibly. There is a tremendous pressure to appear informed, to have a position to defend it, and to avoid the discomfort of saying, I'm not sure. And if I am honest, there have been times when I've spoken with more certainty than I actually possessed, not because I intended to mislead, but because I feared appearing uninformed. And perhaps you know that feeling, the subtle urge to protect your image, the hesitation to ask the basic questions, and the defensiveness that arises when your assumptions are challenged. These moments reveal how deeply ego can attach itself to being right. But humility offers another path. Genuine wisdom begins with the very different posture. It's I don't know. And these words are not signs of ignorance, they are signs of honesty. They acknowledge that our understanding is always partial, that reality is often more complex than we assume, and that other people may see truths that we have missed. The Apostle Paul wrote, For now we see only a reflection as in the mirror. See, our perspective is limited. We see in part, we understand in part, and this is not a defect. It is part of being human. Humility means holding our beliefs with conviction, but not with rigidity. It means caring more about truth than about protecting our ego, and it means being willing to revise our understanding when new insight emerges. Arrogance assumes it has arrived, and humility remains curious. So throughout Scripture, the wisest people are often those who recognize their dependence on God. So when God called Moses, he did not claim complete competence. He acknowledged his limitations. And when Solomon became king, he did not ask for power of all riches. He asked for wisdom. Give your servant a discerning heart. That's what it says in the scriptures. And in the New Testament, the disciple Thomas, the apostle, voiced honest doubt. His questions did not disqualify him. They became part of the journey towards a deeper faith. So Scripture repeatedly shows us that God honors honest seekers, not those who pretend certainty, but those who hunger for truth. So why does this matter? Well, when our identity becomes entangled with being right, disagreement feels threatening, correction feels humiliating, and questions feel dangerous. we may become defensive, dismissive, or even closed. But when the truth matters more than ego, correction often becomes a gift. Someone's insight may save us from error, and a different perspective may reveal a blind spot. The unexpected question may deepen our understanding. So in the book of Proverbs, it says this, it says, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. To welcome correction is an act of humility, and humility is the doorway to wisdom. So being wrong is not a personal failure, it's part of learning, and humility and faith. Faith does not require pretending to understand everything. There are mysteries in life that exceed our comprehension. Suffering, providence, timing, the unfolding of God's purpose. The prophet Isaiah records God's words. My thoughts are not your thoughts, and neither are my ways, your ways, my way. So humility allows us to trust even when we do not fully understand. It enables us to say, I do not know everything, but I am willing to listen. I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to trust. Children are naturally curious. They ask questions freely. They are not ashamed of not knowing. And somewhere along the way, many adults begin to hide uncertainty. But humility restores childlike openness. You see, because Jesus said, unless you change and become like little children. See, curiosity is not immaturity. It's a sign of spiritual and intellectual vitality. So take a quiet moment. What opinion have you defended more out of the pride than evidence? And where are you afraid to admit uncertainty? And what questions have you avoided asking? And who might see something that you are missing? And what would become possible if we were less concerned with appearing knowledgeable and more committed to discovering what is true? So allow these questions to rest in your heart and practice them today. So throughout your day, try using one of these simple phrases. I don't know. I might be wrong. And that's in an interesting perspective. Tell me more. Notice what happens when you release and need to appear certain. Notice how much easier it becomes to listen, to learn, to grow. The most teachable people are often the wisest. They are not threatened by questions, and they're not ashamed by uncertainty, and they do not need to defend every opinion. They understand that the truth is more valuable than ego, and they trust that admitting what they do not know does not diminish them, it enlarges them. So as the Apostle James writes, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God. See, wisdom begins with a humble recognition that we need help. So the wisest people are not those who claim to know everything. They are those who remain open to discovery. Humility turns uncertainty into possibility. So as you move through your day, may you find courage in these simple words that I don't know. And may those words become not a confession of weakness, but an invitation to deeper wisdom. And may God grant you a teachable spirit, a discerning heart, and a peace that comes from trusting the truth more than our pride.